Peace, everybody. This is Medicine Man once again. We're gonna troop through the graveyard to the cemetery one time, and I'm gonna have this little discussion with everybody today. They got a huge party going across the street, so you might hear that in the background. But for the most part, what we're doing today is having a discussion about what is hoodoo. A lot of people have the misconception that hoodoo is all about some traditional folk magic, or that hoodoo is a craft, a form of witchcraft. But what a lot of people are missing is that if the ancestors are not in it, then it's not real hoodoo. You know, and a lot of people don't even know how to put their ancestors in their root work. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to get across to a lot of people about how to use your ancestors in your root work, because a lot of people, just because you put a plate with a candle and some pretty flowers and things on it, don't mean that that's ancestral. You could be summoning or conjuring any kind of random spirit to you in your house. And that's one of the biggest things that I be telling people. Like, your house is not a portal. You know what I mean? Your house ain't no portal. So when you sit in your kitchen and you sit in your living room and you consistently conjuring stuff to your house, how do you expect the balance of your home to be of any significance to your life? Because you're using your home, your whole house, as a conjuring mat. Real hoodoo takes place in the woods. Real hoodoo takes place in the cemetery. Now, when I say that, what I mean is that from the different perspectives, from seeing different root workers and being raised in the South, one thing is common that we'll always see. And that one thing that we always see that's common is that when old people died in certain families and inside the country areas, when old people died, they had no way of actually having the money or whatever to bury anybody. So what ended up happening was, yeah, I know, I see him, man, that deer. So what ended up happening is, there's some deers right there. They don't usually pay me no attention, but I'ma see if I can get up close on them. Oh, it's a bunch of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6 of them. See, they're looking at me, but I don't know if they're gonna pay me no attention. They probably gonna run. Yeah, you see them right there? Whitetails, all whitetails. All whitetails. It's about 7, 8 of them out there. They ain't paying me no attention down there. But yeah, but what I was saying about hoodoo is that, what's up, Troy? Tez, I see you. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying about hoodoo is that it takes place in this place here. It takes place in the woods, in the forest, you know what I mean? A wooded, secluded area, and in the cemetery, because when people died, you know, and this is why hoodoo is so ancestral, is because when people died, they would bury their family members behind the family church in a lot of areas. They would bury their family members in the family church in a lot of areas. So what ended up happening was, these people ended up being, you know, somewhat deified and immortalized. You know what I mean? And these ancestors were the ones that, these family members were the ones that people would go to when they need things done. You know what I mean? Because for the most part, down south, we forgot all of the names of the spirits. We didn't have names of spirits and stuff like that. So when we actually go out to do our work, the only spirits that we actually knew down in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida, and Mississippi, Alabama, and all these places, the only spirits we knew about were the spirits that walked the earth with us, because we didn't have no traditional spirits saved and remembered and things like that. So we had to do what we had to do. So our hoodoo in the South became more of a necromancy type practice. You know what I mean? So we worked with all of the people, that we walked with in life. And from that perspective is how hoodoo grew. Now, when they talk about European influences and things like that in hoodoo, all of that ain't true. None of it is true. For the most part, most of the secrets in hoodoo is preserved in the black community. And not everybody in the black community know what hoodoo really is. You know what I mean? Or know how to practice it. They know what it is, they know what it is, but they don't know how to practice it. Because the knowledge is kept secret. And what a lot of people don't understand about the secrecy of the knowledge, certain things are passed on to certain people. So if you ain't around a certain group of people, then you won't be able, for the most part, you won't be able to receive the knowledge and the information of how these things ought to be worked. You know what I mean? You won't receive that knowledge and information how to be worked. And hoodoo is not folk magic. Anytime you hear somebody talking about folk magic, I know there's a big, great discussion about it. But folk magic means folk. What we got to understand is that in the before slavery, we have to look at what we identified or who we identified ourselves as. Did you ever identify, or did your ancestors ever identify themselves as black folk? Now in the South, I know where I'm from, if someone approached me and say, man, you a black folk, or yeah, them black folk, I don't like that kind of talk. That kind of talk ain't right. It don't sound right going in my ears. And it don't sound right going in a lot of black people's ears. That's why we are offended by this folk magic talk. Because white academia, kind of coined that term and labeled it. But it's not folk magic. Hoodoo is a tradition, not even a religion. It's a tradition, a way of life. Now, when you live this certain way of life, you become empowered. And you become empowered by working with your ancestors. Because for the most part, in the regional hoodoo that I know about and I practice, there weren't no spirits. Now, New Orleans, you had all the kind of voodoo spirits and orishas and everything that was preserved there. But when you look in other areas like, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida, we didn't have the luxury of being close to the French Haiti and things like that, where we could preserve some of our stuff in the same manner that they preserved theirs. We had to preserve our information and our practice in a different way and in a different light. And because we did, for a lot of times, people talk about we don't have this and we don't have that. But for what I've seen on both sides of the spectrum, we have the same thing everybody else have. It's just the fact that people ain't practicing in its proper context, because they have listened to people who don't know nothing about hoodoo, nothing about root work and culture, nothing about ancestral roots, and these people are out there teaching you, who ain't even part of your bloodline lineage. And what has happened is, these people who are not part of your bloodline lineage, them being out there teaching you, they're corrupting the information and the knowledge of your lineage by making it like irrelevant. For example, a lot of the hoodoo root working practices that I've been seeing online, none involve animal work. Working with animals, none. I've read that Lucky Mojo stuff and I ain't seen none nowhere where she talks about it. Want to know why she don't talk about animal work and blood work and hoodoo, which is part of an African culture? The reason she don't talk about it because Catherine Yoronde is an animal rights activist. These people that's perpetuating this kitchen witch, butter candle magic are people that are animal rights activists. So it's only natural for these people to not practice blood magic in their hoodoo, in their root working, in their so-called hoodoo, in their doo-doo. For the most part, they don't have that element, and that's one of the most important and powerful elements of activating spiritual forces, is working with the totem spirit. But we ain't gonna have that lesson right now. We ain't even gonna talk about the power of the totem spirit and why, when you follow that brand of hoodoo that don't use the totem spirit, why you powerless. So for the most part, this is Medicine Man. I'm elaborating on what is hoodoo. We out here in the woods in the cemetery. I got a few things to pick up. I got my cards out here. I gotta go get those so I can do some readings. I usually let my cards spend the night out here. I got some other things I just spend the night, but right there where I need to get it's a car right there, so I can't get it. There's a car parked by it, so Yeah, Tez, you can add blood to a mojo bag, Tez, but you know, it's a science to it. You know what I mean? And I'm not the person to tell people, yeah, put some blood on it, and not explain to you the significance of what you're doing. And in fact, when you playing around with blood, you playing around with roots, and you playing around with herbs, and you don't have the energy work done, or you don't have connection to real spirits, you know, all you're doing is mixing things up. You know, you're making some good seasoning and you playing with biohazard material. That's about it. Because these things are activated only when you working with real spirits, when you have connections to real spirits. You know what I mean? That's how you activate these things, for the most part. You know what I mean? But this medicine, man, I ain't staying out there too long. I just wanted to drop a little quick few words on y'all before I get up out of here. There's a lot of traffic out there, people walking around and stuff like that, so I ain't got nothing to do out here. But yeah, Tez, don't go around smearing blood on your mojo bags, man. Especially when you don't know what's going on with the process. Because everything in root work is about process, man. It's not about if there's a spell or something I can use, or a spell or something you can use to make something happen. You got to have the necessary connection to certain specific powers. You know what I mean? And certain specific nature energies to make the things happen that you're trying to make happen. I got something down here, but it's a car right there, but let me see if I can get it. Probably can't. Man, there's a couple of dogs out there, but I don't be fretting them. Yeah, it's still down there. It's still down there. Yeah, we're gonna take another trip, man. We're going back up top. We're gonna look at some other things we got going on over there. Pay my man no attention, he's taking pictures of the dog. Funny shit. Yeah, to cut some trees down. I might come and get me some of that wood for the most part. Cut trees down in the cemetery. That good sawdust right there on the ground. Come back and get some. You know, it's all kind of nature items, things with power and energy on it that you can find out there. You know, in this cemetery here, go way up. It's pretty old. You know, it's one of the things, like I said, what y'all want to do is, when you come out there to cemeteries, you know, I'm a root worker, so I don't pretty much adhere to a lot of rules and regulations that other people adhere to when it comes to coming into cemeteries and doing work and stuff like that, because I've been born and raised kind of like, you know, swimming in the graveyard ponds and things like that. So this has always been a second nature thing, to come in there without fear, you know what I mean, and to have a mind state that, you know, I have power and control over the spirits. And this is what make a root worker. Knowing that you have power and control over spirits, you know what I mean? Because you were empowered by your ancestors, for the most part. You know what I mean? And this medicine, man, you know, I usually kicks it good. This is a nice little area, man. I go way back, and these some old graves, man. See, look at that 19. What I say? 1902. To 1997, that's pretty old right there. Let's see, and we got over here, October 21st, 1893. You know what I mean? That's a pretty old one right there. You know, so what I do in situations like my man, like her, is I got this special powder in my pocket. Hold on a second, y'all. And a special powder right there in my pocket. See? Look, I barely touched it and it broke. That's a good sign for me. Medicine man it is. So what I do, being that it broke, I'm gonna go ahead and, being that somebody watching me up there on the cemetery, I'm gonna keep stepping. He watching me too, he all on me. I hope he don't say nothing, because he says something, you get a bad dig right now. I ain't got no spirits on me to be playing. So he turned around, he see me down there, pump faking. This is how you scared them off. When the root work in the cemetery, they see you over there sprinkling powder on the grave, you know, they get light quick. See, you getting light. He just come over here to see what's going on, being nosy, trying to turn around, but I watching them watch me.
She say, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my
got to go right now. Whoever that calling me at to go right now real quick. So being that I got that, I got the powder down, so what I do to release the spirit, I break the glass. You know what I mean? Now I'll be back to deal with her tonight. There's too much people out there right now. But I do have yeah, homeboy came running down here till he saw that powder. He ran, caught flight. So bear with me for a second, y'all. Let me put the phone down for a minute, y'all. Hold tight. Look at the sky real quick. While I do this. All right, I'm back. It's Medicine Man. All right, I'm back at it. Anybody who know my readings, know when.
She say, do you love me?
Anybody who know my readings know when I pull a card and it's the ace, spades, that's ancestral, you know what I mean? So a sign for the spirit of the dead. So that's a good sign for me. I ain't gonna get into the technicals about it, but I'll be back to talk to her tonight, you know, about some things. You know, other than that, it's Medicine Man. I'm signing out. I'm gonna go ahead and tap on. I'll see y'all later. Peace and blessings.